Okay, call the meeting to order. The habit we're trying to get into at this point in time is to say the Pledge of Allegiance before each meeting. I blew it last time, but I'm not going to do it again. Would you all please rise and remove your headgear? If you're so inclined, face the flag, and we'll say the Pledge of Allegiance. Pat?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We are all present and accounted for, with the exception of Kurt, who's on a family vacation, so we'll muddle through without him this evening. Does anyone have any additions, deletions, anything for the agenda?
Should we wait on McKinstry?
We will wait on McKinstry until the facilities meets
Okay.
in 2 weeks.
Okay.
We'll put that for August.
So there will be no changes to the agenda. I'd like a motion to approve it as shown.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Jerry, seconded by Rob. Further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is carried. Approval of the preceding minutes from the June 23rd. Have you all had a chance to review that for content?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion by Pat, seconded by Rob. Other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is carried. Scheduled presenters, we have none this evening. Moving down to the finance report. Do we have a Davison who can help us with that?
Front row.
There it is.
Cash from B, and first page is the cash flow, and as you talked last board meeting, I have this all the way through the next fiscal year. Again, showing that we want to go out for anticipation certificate borrowing again for I think about 30 years in a row now, which is a good thing. And largely because of the state catching up on the payments, getting back to 90-10 with our payments. So nothing real outstanding here other than to know that the bank balance is about $2.5 million, and again, that's cash, not fund balance. But I just kind of see what kind of goes in and out, projected through the middle of October. Next page is going to be the kind of comparison of the last month reconciled versus last year. So you've got June 2014 versus 2013. Not a whole lot outstanding here other than to note general fund balance in cash are about $500,000 higher than we were at this point last year. And when you look at the next couple pages for the detail, you'll see that in the general fund we received about $1 million in revenue for June of 14 versus about $600,000 for June of 2013. And that's going to be largely your ideas payments and the shifting of the funds. So there's more of a as we're going throughout the fiscal year this year, where there's more of a cleanup last year. So we had higher funds in fiscal year 13 in August when they did the cleanup payments, whereas we were kind of receiving it more as we went this fiscal year 14. So that will start to tie itself out. You'll see it balance it out in July and August as we go through. The other thing to note is with it being June and that being the last month of our fiscal year, things will change here as audit goes through and audit entries. The amount of cash in total won't change. It may switch funds a little bit as we adjust and correct things. But like I said, this is just kind of a snapshot of where we're at June 30th prior to any adjusting entries for audit. And like I said, other than the shifting in the payment schedule from 14 to 13, not a whole lot of outstanding things to look at or to point out. So if you do have any questions, I can do my best to answer what you have.
So we talked the 90-10 one more time, refresh my memory. We got as low as what?
60-40.
60-40.
And then the difficult thing is when you're receiving 90-10, you're getting 100% of your money, and then they back it down to a 60-40, well, you just lost 30% of your funds that needs to be caught up. Last year, I believe at this time, they were starting to get back to 90-10, but wasn't quite there. Now, with it being almost a full fiscal year at 90-10, we're more on track what we should be receiving throughout the entire year. It's kind of in a savings account with the state. It eventually does get back to us. Sometimes it just takes a little while for it to get there.
At 60-40, 70-30 in the past, we've had to actually borrow money to make our payments.
Correct, yeah. When you're short 30% of what you should be receiving, we end up with cash flow problem. We have to do some borrowing. Having to do it the last several years, or three years for sure, projecting into this next year, which is a good thing. It just makes it a little bit easier when it comes time to pay bills or make payroll that we're able to cash those checks.
Thank you. Any other questions? I'd look for a motion to approve the finance report.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Motion by Rob, second.
I'll second.
Seconded by Jerry. Further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is carried. Under old business, advertising discussion. What does that mean?
Well, we've had some talk. Jake and I are getting a different message maybe than what you meant to give us. We are looking for opportunities always to have revenue. And there's sometimes things just kind of fall in our laps. People want to give us things or rent our parking lot or things like that. And I don't think we need board action necessarily to go to that. But at some point, maybe at your next retreat, I know we've talked about it in the past as far as what you want for advertising. Obviously, we don't want Pepsi stickers up and down the hallways, and we don't want every book to have a book cover that says a certain company's name on it. I don't think that's what Jake and I are looking for. But we certainly are when companies come to us and willing to advertise, maybe at the bottom of a football brochure or something like that. I think those are opportunities for revenue, and we're always looking for anything, no matter how small or big they are. The chain of command, we sit down, we talk about if it's a company that we think is good for our community. They approach us. We're not out seeking advertisers because I think we tap our community enough for other things and fundraising and things like that. But when they approach us and we meet and the admin team thinks it's a good group, we'd like to then bring that to you. You already approve all of the fundraisers for the year. What we'd like to start the practice of doing is on the opposite side, listing all the companies that advertise with us. So that there's always board approval. You're always kind of the final stamp on that. But giving us some leeway, and Jake certainly some leeway to put things on brochures or whatever. Again, we won't be out soliciting these companies. They already do so much for our school. But there's some pretty big companies we buy computers from that we can't buy here in town that they want to advertise in the schools and things like that. I just think it's an opportunity. We're talking about less than $3,000, $4,000 a year maybe, but it's still substantial when you're looking for every penny in the springtime. So. No answers tonight. I just kind of thought maybe a discussion so you could give Jake and I a little direction. We'd like to continue to move in the direction that we understood it as, but we understand if you prefer not.
So you're talking about quite possibly putting ads in the programs for athletic,
Well, yeah,
stuff like that?
It's kind of a gray area right now. Actually, like our football programs, our basketball programs, the Beacon actually does those for us, and they do sell advertisements currently for it, and then they give us the programs for free. So those football programs do have, lots of times it's a bank, it gets a cover or something like that. So we're not doing it, but somebody's doing it for us and giving us the program, so we don't pay for them. But another example is there's a company who wants to have us sign in our football games, and they want us to read a short blurb a couple times during the game. They write us a check at the end of the year. So.
Is that much different than the banks who give money every touchdown, or?
I don't see it as being any different.
I've always felt that, the two things we need to do is decrease spending to increase revenue. That's, when I first got on board, that's what I wanted to see. So I am all on board with this, so.
Okay.
That's my thoughts. And I remember at the meeting we did talk about at least opening up the gates more, and really what you're talking about is we're not gonna go out and solicit, but if they come in, there's still gonna be a review of the board, but I know there's some concerns as to how far it would go. I need a little more liberal in that area, I'm okay. I go to all these other schools and I see advertisements all over, and I don't find them offensive at this point in any school I've been to. It's interesting to see what they're advertising and where they're advertising on scoreboards in the gymnasiums for basketball games and different things like Bill South.
Well, I think if there's anything controversial, obviously it'll go past the admin team and come directly to you, but I think, the practice of just, Jake working with these companies, then bringing it to admin, we look through them, and then putting on the backside of that fundraiser, once a year you're going to get the list. Unless anyone feels strongly about it, we'll continue that way, and then maybe we review it in a year, because we've never done this. And if we find that it's, tapping into our community a little bit too much again, we can pull that back. Does that sound good with everybody?
I was the one still advertising in the field outside.
Well,
That was me. Big banner,
Yeah.
annual fee, naming rights. No.
naming rights to the field house. That would be good.
It just seems like some of these things, like fundraisers, just take up an inordinate amount of time, and we've got so many more important things. But at the same time, where is this going to end if it's left unchecked? So it's one of those things we just have to revisit, but I don't think we can micromanage it either. Okay, moving on.
So that's your answer, Beth?
Yeah, I think, Jake, do you feel good? I feel like we have a direction.
It's a discussion item we've discussed.
Yeah, we discussed. Thank you.
Under new business, under the consent agenda, these are routine items. If anyone wants us to remove one for its own action, we can do that. Otherwise, I would look for a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Brenda made the motion, Pat made the second. Other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is carried. Approval of the expenditures, attachment D. This is where your money has gone over the last month.
42,545. The program change.
Charges, yeah. The program charges Tweedy County Edwards are equalized throughout the 12 months, so it's, even though we're kind of off school season, it's still a monthly charge that we have.
It's easier in our budget to do it year round.
Okay. Then I had another one, 42586.
Marco, ISD 917 tuition. It's actually the decals program.
Okay.
And think about where that, Bob would know that, where that number has been. We've been close to,
10 times that.
yeah.
10
So
times
think
that.
about what that ALC has done. That is one of the lowest bills we've ever had from decals. So the ALC is working. Good job, Mr. Hodges.
We once had a bill from them
100,000.
for
Higher
twice
than that?
for
Okay.
twice that amount. We had to pay them installments because we couldn't pay them all in one lump.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Gary's made a motion,
Second.
seconded by Pat. Other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That is carried. Milk bids, attachment E.
Favorite time of the year, milk and bread.
It's not as bad as it used to be.
That's true.
How many bids we got here?
Yeah.
So we got Hastings Co-op, who's been our
Yep.
vendor for the last 2 or 3 years.
We checked with Wendy. She's very happy. They're always on time. They're good about, I don't remember what else she said. So they're good about holidays, not stocking it too high or anything like that. So
And they're
she seemed happy.
$3,000 cheaper than the other, $2,800, something like that.
I'll
Good
make-
vendor, listen. Okay, go ahead.
I'll make a motion to approve Hastings Co-op as a milk vendor.
Motion by Jerry,
I'll second that.
seconded by Rob. Further discussion? They've been a good partner. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is carried. Bread bids, attachment F.
Josh, I'm going to need your help on this. Which one did she like better? I can't remember. She said in our
Sarah Lee.
office. Sarah Lee, that's right.
That's a little bit too.
Not that much. Yes.
Both of these bids, all they did was took actual usage from the prior year
Mhm.
and plugged in their bids for quantities, and that's how we arrive at an estimate of what it will cost for the year. The one nice thing is, having been off Sarah Lee for a year, they came back at a lower price than.
That's what she said. Even though we've been away, she preferred Sarah Lee and Oswald.
I'll make a motion to approve
I'll
Sarah
second.
Lee as the bread provider.
Pat made that
Years
motion.
ago with that.
What's that?
Remember a few years ago?
Oh, yeah.
And Brenda seconded that.
I learned to watch what I said with the bread did.
And I said, because nobody doesn't like Sarah Lee.
Any other discussion, folks? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is carried. Consideration to hire Matt Junker, secondary business teacher for 14-15.
We did interview, oh, it was a long time ago.
Yeah, 3 weeks ago.
Almost a month
He just
ago.
signed though last week.
So, Ms. Cow resigned in June, and Matt was our best replacement that we found. So, very happy to have him on board, looking forward to it.
Okay.
Is he coming from anywhere?
Pine
He
Island.
was most recently in Pine Island, so, in middle school level.
Mm-hmm.
Is that-
Middle school business.
I'll make a motion to approve hire Matthew Junker.
Motion by Jerry, seconded by Pat. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is carried. Discussion. Realignment of the current music department staff for 14-15.
Okay, I will do my best to explain this. The only person I've really talked about this is Rob, so I apologize. This all kind of has happened real recently. We have an elementary music teacher that has resigned, is attempting to take a position in another school. We have old minutes, but their regulation of after July 1, they have to pay to get out of their contract. That isn't the issue. This teacher is very willing to pay to get out of their contract. It's actually the third week of July, so I think it's $800 to get out of his contract. The problem that we're having is I posted it immediately on Tuesday. We have 4 applicants so far. 2 of those applicants are in contracts currently. I would recommend not interviewing them. Putting them in a situation like we're in could be tough. There are 2 candidates that just finished up student teaching. So we do have candidates, not very many. Unfortunately, they've been interviewed at a lot of other schools and haven't gotten the job. So it kind of puts the admin team in a tough position. Do we wait a year and try to apply, or put it out there in March and you get a ton of it? I mean, there's a lot of music teachers out there. But then that would mean realignment for the year. And that can be really difficult because we've got a great music department doing some great things. So we talked about different alignment things that we could do. The vocal department is aligned with one person, 6 through 12. And we had talked about, and Tim went through everything to see if he could actually do that. And he can, with the exception of the .3 at the ALC. Mr. Bryan currently goes down to the ALC to cover some time down there. That can be fulfilled with any licensure area, but he's done a nice job. There's no doubt about that. With that said, this is really, really hard because the next 2 steps on here, if you decide you don't want to realign, which is fine to do that, then we would need to not accept the resignation from the elementary music teacher. Puts him and his family in a tough situation because he obviously lives somewhere else and wants to teach in that district. He's been very good to us, great teacher, no complaints, but we're kind of stuck. I don't know exactly what to do. And I hate to put this all on you, but the recommendation from the admin team, Derek, Tim, and myself, would to be look at a realignment for the year. We do have one of the music teachers that is licensed to teach K-5. I don't think it's certainly not going to be his favorite, and I don't even know if he's ever taught that. But he's licensed in that area. He carries that license. He's a very good teacher. I think he would adapt very well to just about anything. It's just this is a tough situation, and we're fine with whatever you guys decide. We've got a plan for either way. If you decide to not do the realignment, we're fine with that. We're going to interview the candidates anyway and hopefully find somebody. But I do get hesitant when I see the names, and even Derek remembers the names from a couple of the other interviews we had with Mr. Irvin. They've just been interviewing everywhere and haven't gotten a job, and that concerns me just a little bit too. So I guess this is a discussion, but whatever you decide from this discussion, G, the consideration to accept a resignation, and the consideration to post and hire the .3 that Mr. Hodges would need covered, you need to decline both of those if you don't realize. Does that make sense? So I guess at this point, I'll take questions. Mr. Hodges or Mr. Bell can answer them as well. It's a tough one.
We've gone through quite a bit of discussion in the last 5 or 6 years. And a number of years ago, we had maybe one of the first events in our auditorium. We drew 220 people in to discuss the band program when we were considering scaling it back. And at that time, the finances were close to dire. And not that they're a ton better now, but at least we can see some daylight in there. So it seems like we visit this from time to time, and I would guess, when there's recommendations for cuts, we've resisted music, and that we've got a strong history locally. We've got a strong history in our arts program, and I think we stepped across the line and saying, sometimes it isn't always about money. But yet are we doing disservice to other departments when we've made those cuts in those departments? And so there's quite a bit more to it than just do we continue on or not. Do we do what we've done with so many other programs of saying, I'm sorry, but this is in the best interest of the district, knowing full well that that's one of our shining programs, music in the school. So I don't know if there's a right answer here. And we sat before 200 people before and ran through this and decided we would stay status quo. That required an absolute cut at the time. We were gonna actually lop somebody off when we discussed cuts and the fact that we didn't think we would go through this school year having to do them. Now, is this a cut or is this an attritional move if we continue on like this? I think that's part of our discussion. So, Tim, if we would ask you just from a numbers place, this was like 5 years ago we had the discussion because there was some declining membership.
Yep.
What's going on since then?
The numbers have not really changed a lot in the 4 years that I've been here. So the 11-12 school year, there were about 138 students, 6-12 involved in the band program, and that includes some kids that were taking independent music. Typically, we've got a few kids that take independent music if they can't fit band in their schedule. 12-13, about 127. This last year, about 132. Right now, I have registered 124 kids in band in grades 6 through 12. That can be a little deceiving because we typically don't ask kids in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade whether they're going to be in band. We just sign them up if they were the year before. And the weeks right before school starts and right after school starts is where we see some changes in that. So numbers haven't changed greatly. This last year, 13-14 was our second year that we have 2 people who are licensed in music and band, but Mr. Bryan has spent some of his time at the ALC for the last 2 years. So we're at about a 1.7 FTE that's devoted to, well, I guess you'd have to say district-wide band because they share. So the way we've been working things the last couple of years, which has worked out well, I think, for the band program, is those Mr. Bryan and Mr. Leggold co-teach. So they're both involved in every one of the bands, and they pull kids for lessons during band time, or they pull sectionals during band time. That way, all of the kids get exposed to both directors throughout their time in school, and I think that has been a positive. The question just becomes, it really is a numbers thing. How much do you want to devote? How much FTE do you want to devote to your band program? Again, we're at about 1.7 right now. We would be at the same thing this next school year too. I've got Mr. Bryan scheduled for 3 hours a day.
Could you tell me how this impacts the ALC students?
Well, the last 2 years, Mr. Bryan has taught guitar lessons as an elective, as a music elective at the ALC, and he's done some of his supervision, some of his prep hours been spent there too. So the loss would be in that elective class. But since I've been here, we've typically taken anybody with extra time in their schedule and devoted them to the ALC. For example, Mr. Zimmerman, the first 2 years I was here, was there as an art teacher, and he did art electives. So we kind of make whatever that person, whatever their skill area is, we try to develop some type of class around that. I know this last year, Mr. Bryan was also occasionally teaching guitar lessons to some of the Riverside students too, because it's been a great program for them. So, with that being said, if the realignment was made, I need another body. I can't lose a 0.3 FTE staffing at the ALC and cover that building appropriately. I like to cover that building and have 2 people at a minimum in the building at the same time, and that's just for a kind of a liability kind of thing for everybody. We've got 2 rooms, and we've sometimes had kids in multiple spaces, so I like to make sure we at least have 2 people there. So if Mr. Bryan is not there, then I need some additional staffing there to be able to make that coverage.
I have a question. So we're losing an elementary band teacher.
Elementary classroom music, it's a different licensure.
It's a different licensure.
And one of our teachers has the licensure, one does not.
Is that a .4 position?
No, it's a 1.0.
That's a 1.0.
Then when you say currently we're at 1.7 district wide, does
I'm including 5th grade. So Mr.
So fifth and up.
Legwold,
It's
Mr.
fifth grade,
Legwold and
yes.
Mr. Bryan
So fifth
do the
and
5th
up.
grade program also right now. They have whole band rehearsal 1 day a week, and then lessons and sectionals the other 4 days a week.
So 125 kids is a lot of kids in the band program, as far as I'm concerned.
How many
I
people are in the vocal
think it's,
program, do you know?
reasonably
How many are playing?
healthy.
Yeah, we're typically between 20 and 30 more kids in the vocal music than we are band. So.
What?
We've also, and this is just what it is. We've gone from 2 high school bands to 1 high school band in the last few years. The last couple of years, because of numbers, 7th and 8th grade bands have been combined. So when they perform, they perform combined. They've been rehearsing separately. This year's schedule, I have it, and not because of music, because of other reasons. I have the schedule developed so that 7th and 8th grade can rehearse at the same time. And that's it's actually more for our reading and math support positions than anything else. But so, we've seen the number of preps that those teachers have. If you look at each band as a different prep decline over the last couple of years. Overall numbers of students have stayed relatively the same. They go up and down here and there depending on year, I think. So.
How many are seniors this year that were, because that's the big class, the seniors this year, right?
And this is as of this afternoon. I've got in high school 8 freshmen, 9 sophomores, 12 juniors, and 10 seniors registered for concert band.
So how would that affect the bands then, the directing of the bands?
Well, we'd go back to a system where, if Mr. Bryan were to go to the elementary school, Mr. Legwold would be the director, and he would have to pull kids for lessons, kind of like the first couple of years I was here, we pulled kids out of classes. So kind of more back to the inconveniencing other teachers to be able to fulfill the lessons. Middle school bands are every other day bands, so 6th grade and 7th and 8th grade bands are going to meet on an A-day, B-day basis. So there is time, there's flexible time for the directors to pull kids for lessons when they can. So.
And how is the elementary position set up then? Is that an all day or
It is full-time.
full-time position?
K through 5.
K through 5?
So we're not necessarily making a cut.
Yes, we are making a .7 cut, yeah.
End up making a .7, right?
Hang on.
Yeah, okay.
We're not making the cut. Somebody's
Good lineman.
choosing to leave the district, and we're contemplating if we're going to fill that spot.
I think if this would have happened in March, April, May, June, it would be like everything else you've seen. You've seen so many resignations. We would have asked you to post the position. I've already posted this one, actually, without you telling me to, just because we need to get numbers coming in. I think that's what makes this different. This would not be a discussion item tonight. Maybe, maybe not. If we were looking at reductions, maybe we'd be talking about it, but we had talked about no reductions this year.
So what if we don't find someone? Let's say we don't realign, and the candidates that you have are the ones who interview, and you don't like any of
I would
them.
strongly recommend not accepting the resignation from the current teacher. He's in contract as of July 1.
If we don't accept it, what literally happens? Does he have to stay here then for another year?
Yeah, it gets to be kind of an interesting process. You could get legal involved. I mean, there can be some expense there. He's willing to pay to get out of his contract, but it might be more valuable for us to not, accept it. If you don't want to realign, that's the effort I would tell you to at least go forward with, is to not accept that resignation. I think Apple Valley is going to fight the other way to get him. So, I don't know. None of us have been through that. My superintendent friends just usually let them pay to get out. It gets hard after July 1. You don't hear of many resignations at all at this late.
Kim.
Is Mr. Bryan willing to do the elementary, or are we risking losing him by reassigning?
I think Mr. Bryan is a team player and wanting to help in any way possible, but this is not his dream job. He is really good with middle school, high school kids, which makes me think he's going to be amazing with elementary kids too. I think he's just got a talent with working with children. But his preference, and we all educators have a preference, is high school, middle school. So it puts him in a tough spot. But I would hope that next spring we'd be re-looking at this. The other way to look at it is, we want it to be similar to the vocal department. And if the vocal department has 140 kids with one teacher, should our band mirror that? Are they different enough, or are they the same?
See, I look at the two as being a lot different because there's instruction in choir, but I think learning to play musical instruments takes more hands-on and more face time. I guess, obviously you go through voice lessons and you do your scales and stuff like that, but I don't think it's the same as learning how to play a trumpet or a trombone or,
Well, I think the chorale instructors would disagree with you. But
well, I'm
it's a
sure
skill,
they would.
yeah.
It's not the first time somebody disagreed with me. But
Do
I
as
just
many
I just don't
take
don't see it as
lessons
being the
as band
same.
kids? Are there as many
That would be a
private
question for Mr.
lessons?
Hunt. They do get lessons, though.
Typically, it's the high school kids that get lessons.
And when do they get their lessons?
Whenever they've got time in their schedule.
So is it getting pulled out of class to do their lessons?
You're talking about
Yeah,
choir or
just like
choir
choir.
and band?
Choir.
Choir.
Yeah.
That's how they currently do it today.
Well, I guess I don't really know. I think I'm gonna echo what Bob says. I don't know if there's a one way or the other, which is right or which is wrong. I guess I'd look for a recommendation from admin to tell me which way you want to go. Which way is going to work the best for you guys?
We've all got strengths in this board, and Brenda's strength is music. So I
Crusher,
would
Brenda.
I would love to hear more from Brenda, because that's your area.
It is.
Well, I think it would put a lot of pressure on one director to do all the bands. I think that might be tough to do that, and all the lessons. So I'm not sure how well that would work. And I do think it would be a shame to lose Mr. Bryan at the middle school, high school level, but it's not really our choice of it. It could be something we could try for a year. I mean, we've talked about trying something like this, if we can revisit it again.
Or at least post it in March and see what kind of candidates you get. I think you're going to get a lot more. Do you remember, Derek, how many candidates you got when Mr. Urban's position was open, by chance? I couldn't find it. It was quite a few, but I don't.
It was before we went to half the track.
Right. Okay.
It's on papers.
Yeah.
No man.
This was my first day on the job.
And my thought is, if somebody doesn't want to be here and they want to resign, go somewhere else, see ya. I mean, to me, they're looking for a reason, a better opportunity, whatever. It doesn't matter what the reason is, but for whatever reason, they don't want to be in Cannon Falls. So, if I had a child in elementary, would I want that teacher to be teaching my kid? I wouldn't. If it means us realigning, I guess it means us realigning, but if we don't have a qualified candidate at this time, I'm in agreement with Brendan. If we have to realign for a short period of time, say even March, when there's more applicable applicants that apply, then we can adjust back.
It'd be the whole year. Yeah.
It's on Tuesday.
Could I ask Mr. Leibold how he thinks that would work out?
Without sounding unprofessional, not well at all. There would be quite a few ripple effects if we actually did this. Scheduling at the elementary, and the ALC and high school, middle school would certainly be one. If Mr. Bryan is teaching over at the elementary school, I don't see him as being happy, and it's very possible that he would be looking for a job elsewhere, and then we'd have to find someone else in late August. And we don't want to lose him. That's really the important thing. There are more than likely plenty of good candidates out there. I've interviewed for many, many jobs in my 20-some years in this business, and many of those interviews have been in August. I was also hired
But you,
during
but you
workshop
realize we
week.
can't take anyone out of a contract. I won't
Right.
interview anyone that's in a contract. I
Oh.
will put that district in the same position.
That puts
we're
them in a bind.
So it would have
Okay.
to be someone that isn't in a contract.
I'm going to pull this back into board conversation,
Okay.
because as soon as we make it a public forum, then it opens up far, far past what we should be doing here. So, Mike's statements notwithstanding, we have to decide what's most prudent for the district, and keep in mind that this could spell the end of that third educator. If we find, this is working reasonably well, how does that impact us long term? Are we gonna absolutely be looking for another music teacher, another band teacher next March? Or are we just talking about it now to get through the situation, and then, gosh, it's working good enough now, we might as well continue. So we do have a strong program. We want to maintain that. And I wish I had more expertise in this, but I don't. So we can continue to discuss it, or we can make a motion and make some discussion. But we should have probably put G on top of F, then we could have decided whether or not a resignation is appropriate. I wholeheartedly agree with Jerry. We're not holding somebody here. Make them pay their penalty for leaving. But, regardless of the individual, if he doesn't want to be here or she doesn't want to be here, then their quality might suffer because of it, and we don't want that to happen. So,
Can I read the policy that's in place? I think it'll help you base your decision. It was moved by Paulette Hanson, seconded by Jim Cherwinka, and the following policy was adopted. Teachers resigning after July 15th will not be released until a suitable replacement is signed, and that the following assignments have been levied against the resigning teacher. Within the first week, July 15th, assessment is $300. Second week is $500. In this case, $800 for the third week. No release after the third week. The resignation was in the 22nd. So it's much past that. So per the policy, there's no release here. New persons hired, once they've signed a contract, no release. So that's your current policy that's in place.
So we would technically then have another 2 weeks to see if we can find another qualified
You would have to
candidate.
deny this resignation and give us some time to try to find somebody. And possibly we could find somebody.
that's not a good thing to do at this point on our schedule. We just can't. This has to be the decision this evening.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You would have to deny the resignation to give us that time.
Can you again state what your pleasures would be as administration?
The administrators, both of you stop me if I say it incorrectly. The recommendation from the administration would be to attempt this year to realign and try to align it like the vocal department. We checked with other HBL schools with the numbers that we have. I mean, they're team teaching all day, which is a beautiful thing. But I wish we also had team teachers in Lisa Peterson's room and Sue LePan's room. I mean, everyone wishes they even had a para in their room. I think our band department is one of the best. And because we team teach, it is one of the best. I'm a band kid, went all the way through high school in band. I love it very, very much. But under the circumstances, I know that Mr. Bryan is an amazing teacher. I want him teaching my son at the elementary versus
Well, that's
someone
what
that...
this is all about.
Yeah, it's all about me. No. I'm using my own son as an example. He's in the elementary. I know that Mr. Bryan is that amazing of a teacher that he would do a good job. And so I think it's the administration's recommendation to realign under the circumstances. If this was a month sooner, we wouldn't even be having this discussion. We'd be posting for a job. There's no need for reductions this year, but under the circumstances, we are doing what we think is best for kids. Unless some miraculous music teacher comes forward, I can go get the 4 applicants. 2 of them are in contracts, and 2 of them have been interviewing, a lot.
What did you say about the other HBL schools? What are they doing?
And Mike can attest to this too. There's 1 per section, one, like a 6-12. For 124 kids, and we have 140 in choir, that's typically 1. They don't team teach. There are some that have a middle school and a high school, but our numbers don't. We just don't have those numbers.
So you won't pursue another teacher in a contract because you don't think it's ethical?
It's not ethical.
Okay.
Well,
Fair enough.
I guess where I would come from with that is that you posted and it's the person who's seeking a different position, maybe their situation where they're at is not working for them, and therefore they're trying to, maybe they're from the area or maybe they want something different.
But
I could understand that if you were actively headhunting people from other districts, but if you just post a job and you get 4 applicants, I guess
to me, there's
I
a
don't
huge
see an
difference.
ethics issue there.
Well, the huge difference really is, if this is an at-will company and all employees were at will, you're absolutely right. Well, you have employees who are under contract, contractually providing documents that they're supposed to fulfill, both sides fulfill. You're asking someone to break knowingly a contract that they voluntarily entered into. It's like real estate. You want to buy a home and you decide to break that contract knowingly, I would have to advise you against it, ethically. Now, can't stop you from doing it, but it is a legal binding document that everyone is involved in. When you start to want people to break those, I agree, it's ethically unfit.
One concern that the admin team does have, again, stop me if I'm misspeaking, we do have a lot of outside activities, pep band and marching band and jazz band and all of those things that are remarkable. We're well known for our steel drums. As a matter of fact, we're playing again next Monday at the MSBA conference again. I mean, we're really, really good. You could not ask a teacher, expect a teacher moving into a new position to still continue to do those things. Even though they're compensated for those, what if that teacher doesn't want to do those activities anymore? We can't expect them to do that. That would be my biggest concern, is that you overload someone on a new job. Just like if I was teaching 5th grade and decided to move to 1st grade, that's probably not the year I'm going to start coaching the track team, because I'm already taking on so much new things. So there is some concern about that. So.
My concern is if we make the realignment, we might be sitting here a month from now trying to figure out the replacement for Mr. Bryant.
Well, no, if we
That's
do
my
the
concern.
alignment, we would move that, we would be self-covered except for the point.
No, I understand that he'd still be here, but he may be working in a position that he just wouldn't be teaching, co-teaching like he is currently.
Right.
But taking and then
But-
moving somewhere else if he gets realigned to.
It's a chance we take with the elementary school teacher who's leaving. It just happened with anything we didn't do, it happened. So to predict the future is tough.
Right.
I understand he may not be happy. I guess my thoughts are, we have to, as a district, have to cover ourselves first off. I mean, that to me is the most important. So if we approve the realignment, approve the resignation, do we continue to look for someone so that if, and I don't know administration-wise, tell me if I'm wrong, if in 2 weeks someone amazing comes along and we're able to fill the position, can we shift it back?
That would be up to you guys.
That's what, I was wondering if we could extend, we could accept the resignation, but extend the period for rehiring the position. Or we could maybe approve the realignment if we don't hire someone by August, whatever, some date.
I don't want to put anyone down there.
Tim and Derek, practically, can that happen?
I would still have to buy.
You guys deal with this all the time. Could that
Well,
practically happen?
and Mike, I don't mean to say this may come off bad, but I don't mean it to. For me, it's a matter of scheduling. And my schedule the schedule that I have right now can accommodate the co-teaching thing, since that's kind of how I built it. I was planning on that. can also accommodate having one band director.
Okay.
I know that Mike has some concerns about the scheduling, but I have fewer concerns about making that work. I think that the scheduling is something that I'm good at, and I feel confident that we can come up with a workable arrangement for that. And I'm guessing that it's probably the same thing with Derek. Although, you know, your next board meeting is scheduled for the 28th of
5th.
or 25th of August, and the
First
next
day.
week is that the first day for teachers?
Mhm.
Yeah, so that's getting pretty late in the game to be making changes. It's done, but it is not a great thing for.
That's not ideal, I know that,
Yeah.
but I guess I'm just wondering, my first concern is one, make sure we have teachers where we need them. And if we don't approve the alignment, he's gonna leave anyhow, we're still gonna have to post and hire someone. So whether we do it without having a position to fill, or needing to be filled, or we do it and we gotta find someone, or we're gonna be left without an elementary school teacher, what would be the better option? To know you've got someone in there now, and you can shift back, or to not know if you've got one, and if we don't find someone suitable, what are you gonna do?
And I think it's important for me to just, for everybody to understand that, you know, we as an admin team had to agree to disagree a little bit. From my perspective, you just put my hat on for a second and see, I want the best teacher I possibly can get for those kids at the elementary. I don't know enough about either Mr. Leibold or Mr. Bryan to know whether or not they would be sufficient down there. I get it. I get why it's even brought up. Do I think that I can find somebody better than him? I don't know. I honestly don't know. There's 4 applicants. They're not popping out at me by any means, but it's still early. I hope. I don't want to ever put somebody who doesn't want to be there. Is what I'm saying. So in a way, I get it. I am on board with the admin team, but I also disagree a little bit in all of it. But
That was kind of my point. Somebody's looking to resign, they're looking for a reason. Flip side is I don't want to take a teacher we currently have and move him into something that he doesn't want to do either.
What if we don't find a suitable? We
Well-
have 2 high school teachers and no one in elementary school.
There are candidates in the system that have started and haven't finished. There's some hope. There is a Cannon Falls grad that actually, I hope, finishes. I might even call him. I mean, there's hope. I posted it last Tuesday. Today's Monday. Most candidates wait for that second week. They need time to get it done. You know what I mean? Or they do it over the
They
weekend or whatever.
started the application?
It means they put their name in, but they, for whatever reason, didn't submit. So it might be worth a phone call kind of thing. There's hope. It's just a weird this timing. It's unfortunately the elementary teachers resigning has just put us in a tough. Like I said, if this was the June board meeting, we would never have even put this on here. We would have just said we're hiring another one. This would not have even been coming up. We're just torn on what to do.
Well, I would like to.
If you want to roll the dice, we can roll the dice. Maybe we'll find someone next week. Great.
I want to make a motion to keep it the same as we currently have and continue to look for a admirable applicant for at least another couple of weeks.
And if we don't find one,
A second.
Hang on. So you're not making a motion on the realignment. You're making a motion essentially to say, let's stay status quo and continue to seek a band teacher.
Correct. No. Elementary music.
Seek an
Elementary
classroom teacher, K through 5.
teacher. All right. Seems like band to me. So,
Very different.
elementary classroom.
K-5 classroom teacher.
That was a motion by Jerry and a second by Brenda, I think I heard, right? Other discussion?
what if we don't find one?
We'll find you one.
Are you licensed?
Nope.
That's good.
I hear Ann Anderson will come back and teach for us if she does.
There's somebody
Elementary
sitting in the
classroom teacher. Okay, we've got a motion and a second and closing discussion. All in favor of the continued search for an elementary classroom
Teacher?
teacher? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
That passes by a 4-1. Sorry, guys, back to work.
No work? I was planning on this.
Yeah, you actually made it really easy for.
Consideration to accept a resignation.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Jerry, seconded by Pat. Further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
We are going to need someone to make a recommendation to post for a 1.0 elementary classroom teacher position.
We will,
Add that at the end, make it an N,
we'll make it and, yeah, that'll fit.
because Lori will kill me if I don't know that.
Post.
Isn't that what you just did with that? Or do you have to post?
Nope, that was
To post,
discussion, I
yeah.
have to post it, no. For a 1.0.
So does that make H a moot point?
Yes, you will have to turn that one down. Someone will make a motion to not do that.
Or withdraw it entirely?
Do that too.
Would someone make a motion to withdraw item H?
I'll make a motion to withdraw item H, not post.
Motion by
Your
Brendan,
position as the ALC.
seconded by Jerry. Further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is carried. And item I is something totally unrelated.
Yep, we're in a new topic.
All right. Consideration to accept a resignation effective August 1.
Yes, this is our district technology director. He has accepted a position prior to the cutoff, but a position in Austin, Minnesota.
I'll make a motion to accept the resignation.
I'll second.
Motion by Rob, seconded by Pat. Further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is carried. Consideration to post and hire for the technology department.
I'm interviewing on Thursday, so please.
So we should do that then. Jerry, you got that motion? And who's going to second that one?
I'll second.
Seconded by Rob. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is carried. Consideration to accept a proposal for a fundraiser change. It has to come through you.
Yeah, a couple months ago, you guys approved the fundraisers. The dance team would like to not do their calendar sales this year, and they'd like to do a kick-a-thon at a football game instead. So since you didn't approve that, they'd like to get approval for that. So they're not adding anything. They're just
No calendars.
they're swapping one out.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Kick-a-thon.
Motion by, just a fundraiser change. Motion by Brenda, seconded by Pat. Further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is carried 5-0. Update on the Wastedo building. Update means discussion item?
Well, no, actually, no, I just want to give you an update. There's not really anything to discuss on. Rob has been very resourceful and helpful trying to find someone to give me some value on the Wastedo building. It's a very old building. It doesn't fall into the historical society or anything like that, but it is an older building. We're at 9.2 acres, basically. Took Dave Peterson out there. He got a nice tour. We are hoping that boiler makes it through the winter. It most likely won't, but we do have a plan for the Wastedo kids and a place for them to go if, for some reason, the roof has any more issues or that we run into boiler problems. With that said, our tenants are leaving. We know that. We need to do something with this land. It is basically only 7.2 tillable because of where the trees lie and where the road is. I've been in contact with several different companies. There's some, gas stations that were interested when they heard that the interchange with 9 was happening. That's going to be a big interchange. There's some hope. It's a little too far off the road to have a lot of value for that commercial type usage. I did contact the farmers in the area because it butts up to their property. That made logical sense. Dave is working with me to find a company that, we just want to know, so you guys know what the value of taking those buildings are down. We have one tank under the ground, the well can stay, the tank needs to be gone. Very expensive to get those type things done. Had a very interesting offer come forward. It's not even technically on the market, but there's a lot of discussion. I think everyone knows that, we're losing our tenants out there. St. Paul Schools had made a couple comments. They need a gym. Well, the gym has now got this warping thing going on. I wouldn't let dogs run in there necessarily, for free time. We don't let students in there anymore. It's just got some real warping going on. But they have a nice, beautiful playground, and it's working out really well currently, but they need the new building, and we're losing our tenants in June. So we do have an offer that's been brought forward, just a verbal. They are represented by a realtor. It's much more than what I would have thought. I don't know where you guys want me to go with this. I'm just giving you an update that the assessment is going to occur in September. Sell, fire sale.
We don't know where we want you to go.
Yeah. Yeah, so, the assessment on the actual land, thank you, Rob, for the lead on that. Gentleman out of Hastings is coming out to do that. And then we'll have a bid process on taking the buildings down. For certain people, whoever buys it, if it's a personal or a company, in some cases we are responsible for taking out the tanks and things like that. Again, very, very expensive to do that. The current offer on the table would be one that they don't want us to worry about that. They'll take care of everything.
Can we see that in writing? When we see that in writing, I'll be more excited. I don't like the verbal stuff, but that's just
Well,
personal.
he's willing to put it in writing anytime we want. But they know that it's not available till June 15th of next year. I just don't want us to have to sit on it. I mean, I know you understand completely having an open building with no tenants in it. Who's going to go out there and mow that now? Now that they're not there, they're not going to mow. There's upkeep that needs to happen. The roof has really got some issues. We've had it tested. It's okay. It's just the building needs to come down. So
Do you have a realtor?
we do. The realtor is out of Hastings.
The one that you're using?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd put it in writing. You
Okay.
can put a date out there for 6 months.
Okay.
Lock them in whatever you can, see what contingencies they're gonna have, that's fine, that way you know what you're dealing with.
Okay.
You may be able to avoid some of the environmental concerns. They could be expensive, they may not be, but, I think that will give us an idea where we wanna go next.
I think the current offer, he's able legally to do it himself. He's in that business.
Okay.
So I think that's why he's not worried about that, because he's saving the cost factor on that. But the offer on the table is $16,600 an acre, which is much higher than it's assessed at. So I don't want to necessarily lose it either, because Quick Trip starts looking at it and then they pull out, and
Right. By the way, if you put it into a contract, legal and binding both sides,
Okay.
we can still do the appraisal and find out what their value
Sure.
is.
Okay.
If we're way off, if it comes in at half price,
Sure.
they're still contracted to buy it at that,
Okay. All right. Why don't I get things in writing and have it ready for the August 25th meeting, see if you guys like it or not, and we'll move from there? Is that good?
Sure.
All right. Thank you. And Dave, thanks for hitting the ground running, helping me out with Mosquito. I know he didn't even know it was ours. He's like, we own that.
Short
Surprise.
Do we have to?
Okay, moving on, Lake City wants to join the Goodhue County Ed District, so we're consideration to approve the resolution approving application of ISD 813 to become a member.
I went over and covered their board meeting on this. They didn't have a superintendent, and so we explained it all to them, and they are leaving the Hiawatha Valley League and coming over to Goodhue County Ed District.
I didn't know they moved Lake City into Goodhue County.
So it's only.
Some of it is. Some of it is.
Okay, we better, hopefully there's something.
Some of it is. And they approved that unanimously over in that district, right? As
Yes.
has everyone else.
Yes.
Except for us, we haven't dealt with it
And
yet.
Kenny Wendigo hasn't done it yet either.
Okay.
Okay.
First, we'll make a motion. Yeah.
I'll make a motion
to approve. Yeah.
Make a motion.
Motion by Pat, seconded by Rob.
Sure.
Did I hear?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Brenda, do your thing.
This is for the resolution approving application of Independent School District number 813, Lake City Public Schools, to become a member of the Goodhue County Education District number 6051. Pat?
Yes.
Bob?
Aye.
Jerry?
Yes.
Brenda, yes. Rob?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, that
Do you have
passes
the paperwork for that?
by a 5-0.
Yeah, I think it's
Okay, item M, post for elementary classroom teacher,
Music.
music teacher. Everything gets added all the time. Okay, I would look for a motion to approve the posting.
I'll make a motion.
Brenda, a motion. Rob, or Pat, second.
No, no, please.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is carried. Okay. Board members, under reports, anything for the cause here? Just quick.
Quiet summer.
Committee reports? I'm guessing none.
Facilities is in 2 weeks.
What day is that?
Curriculum.
What?
Yeah, correct.
What's that?
Facilities
Did
is
you
in 2
say
weeks.
about 2 weeks? You don't have it
Yeah,
exact.
I don't have a, I don't have a date yet. but
We
yeah,
said
we're
within the
looking
next
at-
couple weeks.
Before the next board meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, that's a month. Oh, that's
Yeah, that's not
the wrong facilities.
Sure, sure. Okay.
Sorry, Dave.
Suit report, you just got it handed to you. Beth, do you want to expound?
Yeah, there's
on
just
it?
a couple of things you had asked me to look into. The tech director position, we've got 6 really great qualified. Rob is going to represent the committee there, or Pat, either. I know you guys are both on the tech committee, whichever one works for you. MSBA, I just want to say that they are having a pretty good institute next Monday. I'm going to go up. I've signed up for the Digital Citizenship, Safe and Supportive Schools Acts. That's the new bullying law, and then the World's Best Workforce. So the 3 classes I've signed up for. The following day is MDE, their big workshop for superintendents. So next Monday and Tuesday I'll be out at conferences. Status report of the refunding of existing bond issues. I've attached that in here. Both Josh and I got this information. It's just, some of you had asked, do we ever go out and make sure, like when you refinance your home, are you making sure that you're getting the best rates that are out there? We are getting the absolute best that we can. There's no need or better rates that we could be getting out there. So that is attached for you. Rob, I think you were the one that asked about teachers on call and the usage. I attached a usage sheet there. As you can see, they did a really nice job fulfilling the jobs that we needed filled. So one column is when we did it on our own and with them. So I thought that was just good information. Rob, you had asked for that.
Yep.
And then targeted services. Michael is not here tonight, but he's off and running. He definitely hit the ground running as a new principal today, that's for sure. On here I have 110. That's incorrect. We actually have 137 kids that enrolled. We only had 123 come today, but we knew some days kids can come, some days they can't. Hats off to our transportation department. That actually went way better than I would have thought. If it's a sign for the first day of school, I think we're set. And then I just kind of give you another brief, try to educate you again what targeted services is and what it entails. And another compliment just to Derek Bell. Before Michael started, Derek ran all of this. I mean, he literally set everything up, and Tim as well, but Derek really did a lot of the legwork on this. Really, really happy with that. This is huge revenue for our school, and he should be very proud that he got this up and going. So that's all I have.
That's plenty. Item D, report from Head of Operations and Maintenance. For a while here, you'll be known as New Dave, whether you like it or not. So,
Been called worse.
would you like to give us an update on how things are going in your world?
I didn't warn you about this. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, but that's fine. I mean, there's just a lot going on. I mean, for me, I'm already looking into winter. I mean, you know, that's how fast the seasons go for me. But things are going well. The transition's gone well. Staff is going well. We're doing a lot of cleanup. We're just trying to get the buildings ready, get the grounds prepared, and just kind of moving forward, doing a lot of house cleaning, trying to get some systems and some structure in place for the staff. And, you know, every week is like a blink of an eye, but it's going very well. So we're going to continue moving forward and keep pushing and fighting the fight.
And every day he wears bomber clothes, head to toe. Every day.
Yeah.
He's a bomber.
Part of the family.
That's right.
Better than a Titan shirt.
Yeah. Well,
Principal
something
report.
out.
Nothing going on in your world. world, except
They
now
did-
you're looking.
They've been off all of July.
Well, I did go to an excellent conference
Yeah.
at the end of June, beginning of July, the International Society for Technology Educators Conference in Atlanta. Heard some great things, and I'm planning on bringing back to staff. It was a great conference. So, lots of good stuff for staff.
Derek, anything from you?
No, not really.
Just gearing up?
Yeah?
Okay. Jake, how's CE going?
Good. A couple things. First on athletics, fall sports meeting is tomorrow, so we'll get kids signed up for fall sports. They don't start till the 11th. I think we're a little bit earlier than normal on our sign-up meeting, but met today about our football schedules. About 2 years ago, we didn't leave the HVL, but football and the HVL turned into the Southern Football Alliance. We're in year 2 of that, but now the State High School League put everybody into kind of a similar agreement, so we're not in the HVL or the Southern Football Alliance. After this year, we're in the Southeast District. Pretty much the same schools. It's a little bit smaller than what the SFA was, but there's 16 schools in it, and we're trying to figure out how we're going to work these schedules out. So right now, if you go enrollment, our schedule will not change at all from what it is this year, other than our one crossover game. We might do some geography stuff where we can basically keep the HVL schools together, and then the Three River schools can stay together too. That'd be my preference, but we won't know until August on what exactly we're going to do on that. Community Ed, just wrapping up a busy summer again. The staff did a great job. Cannon Kids numbers were huge. We'd go on field trips. We had to take 2 buses on all our field trips. I think those are probably the biggest numbers we've ever had. Coming into the fall, Molly's working hard on our brochure. That'll be out probably right before school starts. And our preschool numbers look good for the fall too. So.
Thank you. Upcoming meetings, we've got our next meeting August 25th, and you can see consideration to approve the custodian's contract coming up, the truth and taxation date setting, and a presentation by our educators on the use of technology and how we're using it.
Weren't you, someone asked for that, so I thought that would, okay, Kurt wanted that. I thought that would be a nice presentation. Okay.
That's good. And then we'll also include the Westito building.
Yeah, the
More
presentation
information
for
on
that,
that?
sure.
Sure.
Yep.
Okay. Public.
And we'll be hiring a music teacher by then too.
Yes, we will be. Again, if for some reason you have other items you'd like on the agenda, please contact Lori or Beth, and we'll see to it that they get on the upcoming agenda. At this time, we have a public forum. People wishing to speak to items concerning the Cannon Falls School District. We will allow you 1 to 3 minutes as a rule, more if necessary. So does anyone wish to speak? Okay. Doesn't matter. First hand. Ann?
Good.
Don will get you.
Just comment about the music teacher. I don't think you have trouble getting lots of candidates. I talked to Megan Ziegler on Thursday. We looked on Thursday. We couldn't find the post on EdPost or the website, but I guess it's on there now. So if you've gotten 4 positions since Thursday, that's pretty good. And she's putting the word out. And I mean, she's at Luther College. You can't find a college that has more highly qualified teachers. And they're looking now. I mean, they haven't found positions yet. So I think you'll get tons of applicants in the next week and they'll get the word out. And then my second question is just, I've been working with the music teacher since Cassie Allen was here 15 years ago. So I've done a couple long-term subs. And the schedule last year was hard for the music teacher. So whoever we get, it's going to be lots of support because this is probably the most brutal day I had subbing. I mean, there's 12 classes a day, and last year it was set up so the prep was in the beginning of the day, which is nice to prepare, but then you go south through the whole day. I know Andrew ate lunch in his room because didn't have time to get lunch or couldn't eat in the teacher's lounge. I'm sure the teachers are wondering, where's Andrew? You have to put the equipment away from the morning and then try to figure out what's coming in the afternoon, try to run to bathroom break and maybe for 5 minutes. So it's a hard schedule. I think with the 4 digital days, everything's condensed. And I know I'm so sad that we have no choir because most schools have 4th and 5th grade choirs. And I know Christine Barthman, Megan Zell did an amazing special ed music class, which was like the highlight for some of those special ed kids. So I'm sad to see some of those things go. But thank you for posting it. I appreciate that because I think it would have been a very difficult position to fill with just 3 music staff people because it's a hard schedule. It's never been this full before. And I understand they keep the prep time the same as classroom teachers. But there's no downtime in music. You're talking the whole time or getting instruments out, passing things out. kids aren't reading for 5 minutes. They're not writing a paper, so it's you're on your feet the whole day. I could never talk at the end of the day, even using a microphone. So it's just whoever you get, just give them lots of support, especially if it's a first-year teacher, because they're going to need it, because they'll earn their money.
Okay. Tom?
I am personally requesting a certain teacher not be rehired by the school board for exhibiting unethical and morally bankrupt behavior. He is the reason that my wife and I have separated. His behavior and actions have not only destroyed our marriage, but they have had serious and long-lasting impression on our 2 kids. I understand that a non-tenured teacher can be released for any reason in Minnesota, and that there is no legal ground that has to be stated to justify a termination. If a reason is needed, put yourself in my shoes. How would you feel if a teacher of one of your children, who you had invited into your home for dinners and other occasions, had gotten romantically involved with your spouse and was a primary reason for the breakup of a family? Is this the type of person you would want to work with your kids and the kids of other parents in the district? I know for myself, his future at this school can be no more. And I know once word gets out, I'll not be the only one standing here. Also, I know he has an interest in being a coach for football at some point. With that being said, I think it would be detrimental to my son and other kids to have him there as a coach, as my son will be playing football here soon. Getting back to the school side, my son may have him as a teacher in another year, and I was told that even if he has another teacher, he will still have this certain teacher for at least one class. And that is not okay with me. I was told that maybe someone else could teach my son for this class every day, but I don't want my son to feel left out from his other classmates either. He has already taught my daughter, and look at where it has taken us. So you can see my concern here as to why I'm asking for him to be dismissed. He made a serious mistake in his first year as a professional teacher. Hopefully he'll learn from this and move on to a new school with a fresh start. It's my understanding that he has isolated himself from other staff members at school. He has not attended any work parties or end-of-year functions with the staff, and as what I've been told, they're a pretty tight bunch. Everyone I've talked with that knows him is disgusted with his behavior, and something needs to be done. The decision is yours. Just what type of teacher do you want working with our kids in Cannon Falls School, in the Cannon Falls School District? A small community where people talk with each other and know what really goes on. Is this the type of person you can proudly stand up for and say that you feel exhibits the highest moral and ethical behavior that you want represented in the Cannon Falls School District? Thank you.
Thank you. I neglected to mention who our speakers were. Ann Anderson, Dominic Turner. Okay. All right. Anyone else wish to speak? Yes.
Hello, I'm a grandparent of the 2 students in the Cannon Falls School District, and I'm here on their behalf to ask you to examine this situation previously brought to the principal's attention, but it sounded like it was kind of blown off on a technicality. This teacher involved himself as a friend of the family, and I expressed to the family that I thought this would be, pretty abnormal and possibly suspect, and wondered, what the rest of the school administration thought of this same relationship. And then the truth of the relationship came to be, and the children now feel betrayed, lied to, and mistrust adults. They're a lot less happy and a little more quiet and serious. And one of the children was even skipping school to avoid being around this person. So it's affecting 2 children pretty majorly, and they have a long way to go in Cannon Falls.
Yeah, I know, and I can feel your concern here. Mr. Turner did a really nice job of not giving real specifics or anything.
Right.
We have policy here. It's policy 206. I can give you a copy of it. You're getting into specifics, and that person isn't here to defend themselves in any way. So I would ask that any comments that you give to the board are very factual or that
Sure.
way in nature, if you could, please.
Sure, I think that's enough. Thank you.
Thanks.
And the public forum is just that it allows people an opportunity to speak on behalf of district items, so there'll be no response from the district on this, and they're certainly allowed as taxpayers to speak. So, does anyone else have anything? If not, I would look for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Jerry. Second, anyone?
I'll second.
We always have this hassle here. I thought everybody would just love the second something, I think. Any other discussion? All in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.